What's up, YouTube? Today we have an amazing game here. It's super exciting. I can't wait for you to see it. I hope you're having a great day today like me. It's almost Friday. Super excited. The weekend is finally here. And so is this game with this awesome comp. What I really like about this game is that it shows that Astrals are not weak. Astrals are still very, very powerful and can lead to some very devastating wins if you play it correctly. Now, Nami may have gotten nerfed, but there are other carries. So for this game, we're going for NIDALEE Reroll. So my first augment was a pretty obvious choice. We're going with Beast Sten. Just immediate attack speed, and it's very strong. So here we're going to go for level 4. We're going to throw in 3 Astral and have Shapeshifter 2 so that we can get our buff active on at least one of our units. So the main goal here for this comp, it's pretty simple. I'm going to be looking for NIDALEE ASAP, and then from there, I'd like to go level 6 and 7 and find some other units, mainly a Lowy 3 maybe, or even Nara 3, which actually does end up happening in this game. But that doesn't always happen. The main part is to be consistent about hitting the main carry, which is NIDALEE, and getting the main carry items. Now, I did lose this round, and I am going to go back and forth with wins and losses for the first part of the stage, and the reason is because I don't have a 2-star NIDALEE yet. So I already know that I'm not going to really be winning too many rounds, and that's okay. So when you know you're not going to win too many rounds right off the bat, what you should probably do is look to lose streak. But instead, you know, I always go for the win. And so when that happens is sometimes you end up waffling, right? You win, you lose, you win, you lose, and you don't really build up a streak, so your econ doesn't get super strong. That's something I need to work on. I think if I were playing this perfectly, I would have lost and continued to keep losing, but just barely. And I think that's really difficult. That is a very artful skill that the best players have, and that's something that's very, very difficult and should be worked on, is losing just enough so that you don't lose too much health, maybe lose by 1 to 2 units, but you don't make yourself powerful enough to actually win a game and ruin the streak. So anyway, I did lose the first one, win the second one, and now I'm going to lose this one. But after that, I will get strong enough to continue win streaking. So from here on out, this is essentially going to be my last loss for a long time, I'd say. It's going to be a pretty sick one. And so really the main goal that I'm looking for here is to find NIDALEE 2-star, then 3-star, as well as get 2-star units of Skarner's already done, but then also find 2-star Gnar. 2-star Shen was added in, which was a very nice find. I wasn't really expecting it, and so that's just a good add-on. But then also 2-star Elise whenever I can. So the main goal obviously first is to hit NIDALEE. You can also replace Vladimir with Nami if you do find a good amount of Namis early. Just because Nami provides a lot of healing, whereas Vladimir is just kind of an Astral bot. He's there to supply Astral 3, and he has a 1-cost unit, so that's nice. But NIDALEE actually provides a lot of healing and a lot of extra utility, right? So that's really what you want to look for. You want to surround your shapeshifter units with healing and frontline, especially when you're doing NIDALEE. Just because with NIDALEE, she's a melee unit, and so
it must be done.
If you can somehow pair Guardians or Bruisers with her, that's very good, because Guardians will give her a shield if she's next to the Guardian, and Bruisers will give her a lot of HP, allowing her to live longer. Now, because I went for Beast Sten, my goal here was to hit 6 Shapeshifters, since obviously you know you get more max health on Shapeshifters, but then also it spreads the Beast Sten buff of attack speed to other units, which is very, very huge. And NIDALEE pretty much lives and dies off of attack speed. So the build that I'm going for here today is going to be Ginsu's, Bloodthirster, and QSS, Quicksilver Sash. Now with Quicksilver Sash, it's very, very important you get this item along with Ginsu's. They're pretty much 2 mandatory items. If I had to choose one over the other, it would be Ginsu's over QSS, just in case, you know, worst case scenario, you don't get the item. And the reason is because Ginsu scales up with every hit, where QSS does allow you to avoid CC or any crowd control really, while being in melee range, which is very important since a lot of CC goes off in melee range. So it allows you to keep attacking, allows you to keep healing from the Bloodthirster or any augments you might have. So here on my second augment choice, I'm going with components, just because 3 components are very strong. The other 2 options were okay, but not that great. You don't really expect to use Last Stand when you're doing a reroll comp this early, because reroll comps are very strong in the early game, but they fall off in the mid to late game. So to avoid that from happening, what you need to do is really push hard and push the tempo so that you keep your board strong and ahead of the curve. But I go with components for that exact reason, right? Because more items means more damage, and here I'm actually pretty disappointed in myself. This is something that I would never do now, and I don't know why I did it here. I have 4 components on the bench, and that is something you should never do. Even if it's suboptimal, it's better to slam items than to not. So right now I see I could be making Sunfire Cape, which I finally do, and then I also could give NIDALEE the Megatron Cloak, which is going to turn into QSS. Now, do I have to slam the Ginsus? Probably not, but I think it's also not a terrible idea to do it since NIDALEE already has her Ginsus. You don't need another Ginsus, right? I'm not going to save it for Giant Slayer or Runans or anything like that because I already have the Negatron Cloak. Worst case scenario, I can make the QSS during Dragon Round, and all the other items that I get will just go towards other people. Since I already have 2.5 items, I have a good amount of NIDALEEs. I don't need to worry about hitting my 3rd item since there is a guarantee in that Dragon Shrine round. So here we are in stage 3, continuing on the win streak. Right now we're at 5, which does make sense since I have 2-star NIDALEE and I have other 2-stars as well as a lot of slammed items versus other people who maybe just be kind of scraping by, you know what I mean? They're going for 4-cost carries or maybe 3-cost carries, and so they haven't hit their mark yet. Right now they're in the point where they're trying to survive, and this is like the key moment for a comp like this. When others are trying to just barely survive and you are thriving as the reroller, you want to push the tempo as hard as you can. You want to be able to slam as many items as you can, find as many 2 and 3 stars as you can, so that each win you get does more and more damage to your enemies, forcing them into tougher and tougher decisions. By lowering their health, you're able to get them to choose between sacrificing more health or rolling down and spending their gold for units and level ups. When you do this, it becomes a very powerful tool. See, because now they're desperate. They use their gold more than they want to, earlier than they want to, and what happens is that you now have a lead where they don't because they weren't able to find the units they may have wanted. They weren't able to slam the items that they initially wanted, and so it throws off their game plan. During the roll down, finally at stage 4-1, with all the gold I've earned from hitting a 7-game win streak, I managed to find Skarner 3, which is very nice. Unfortunately, I'm still not able to find NIDALEE 3, and so I go to level 6 so I can add an extra unit. I do want to somewhat keep pace with the game, just because level 5 at 4-1 is very low leveled, so I do want to increase the units. By going level 6, I do have Shapeshifter 4, which is very, very powerful. You get a lot of health, so that's pretty much where I was going with that. I decided to re-roll since I didn't like the options. Sunfire board here is not very good since I have Sunfire Cape, and First Aid Kit would have been what I've gone for last set, but I don't here because currently it is bugged, and so if you see First Aid Kit, you can ignore it for the time being until the bug is fixed. The healing does not work properly, and so instead I go with Thrill of the Hunt, which is a very, very powerful tool and allows NIDALEE to do things like 1v3, 1v5 even, if the enemies are low health, just because every kill gets NIDALEE a burst of health, and so she can kind of chain kills back to back and get healing faster than they can kill her. So here we are on stage 4-3. I do get Gnar 3-star, and even with no items, he is a giga tank. I mean, Gnar 3-star is super buff, especially with Shapeshifter 4, and so we're just continuing this hot streak. This is going to keep going on for quite a while, and I honestly love this comp. It seems like rerolls are really dominating the meta, whether it's Set reroll, Varus reroll, NIDALEE reroll. There are so many reroll comps right now that are super, super strong in the meta, and personally I do really like that just because they haven't been too meta for a long time. Yeah, sure, there are 1 to 2 comps here and there during the past sets that would be, but this gives kind of a variety just because there's also the standard leveling route where you can level for things like Corki and Xayah and carry the game that way. And then Dragons also provide the late game carries with like Shyvana, Aoshin, Aesol, and Yasuo as well. So there's a lot of avenues to carry your games and a lot of units that are very powerful if you build correctly. So I think that's something that they really got right with this set. It feels super good and super fun. Pretty much every leveled unit, I think except for maybe 2-star, 2-cost units, have super strong carries. I think 2-cost units are actually the ones suffering the most, where either they are support units so they're not carries, or the carry units can't compete with either the 1-cost units because they don't get hit fast enough, or the 3+ cost units because they just can't compete at the 3-star level when you're comparing them to other units who are cost more and are worth more, therefore do more damage. Now, obviously, that money investment is higher, but it can be worth the payoff if you hit. So here, I am super glad I finally hit NIDALEE 3-star, and what's funny about that is because, although I did cut it out the roll downs just because they are a bit slower, I went through a lot of gold trying to find NIDALEE 3. If you look at the gold that I have as you jump through each fight, you'll notice sometimes I go down 12 to 14 gold. I must have gone through about 6, maybe even 7 astral shops before I finally found NIDALEE 3-star, and that was while I already had 2 2-star NIDALEEs. And what's crazy is that nobody in the game is running 3-star NIDALEE. And you know, that's something that just happens sometimes. Every once in a while you'll have this game where even though you're the only person running these units, you won't find the unit you need purely out of bad luck. It happens. The point is to stay consistent and be determined in what you want to do. Sometimes you may need to pivot, other times it's better to just keep on going. Yes, it sucks that I didn't hit my comp earlier, and we'll see the ramifications of that later, but that doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because you need to think positive in situations like that. You stay focused, you stick to the game plan, and you keep going. Now, if I had spent 40, 50 gold and not hit my units, or if I was losing and not hitting the unit, then I probably would have considered pivoting. But because of the win streak and because I was strong throughout the entire early game, sticking with my game plan of pushing the tempo with my early game reroll comp, I was able to manage myself a huge lead and a huge gold econ, allowing me to spend extra time finding NIDALEE 3-star even when I didn't want to. Yes, it happens. Yes, it sucks, but that's life sometimes, right? Sometimes you just have to, you know, knuckle up and get to work. So here, I finally added a 3rd Jade at level 7, and that's going to just be an extra attack speed buff. Again, NIDALEE here just works off of attack speed really well. Everything you want to do will be purely to give her attack speed, or to give her aura items, right? Like maybe a locket or a chalice of power, which I do manage to slime, as well as a trap claw, which I did get from the Dragon Shrine round, which is actually pretty funny as well. I got 3 gauntlets, 3 gloves on that Dragon Shrine round, and that was after finding like 0 gauntlets through 2 or 3 carousels. Again, you know, sometimes you hit and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you hit and you don't in the same game, you know? You just gotta roll with it and do the best you can. So here I was kind of debating between taking the locket for NIDALEE or going with the tank item. I decided to go with the tank item and slam it on Nico. And I also could have maybe decided to item remove the tank items from Elise and give it to... I'm sorry, not Nico. Nico will come into the game eventually, but actually I meant to Lowy. So here we are finally at stage 5-5. We're getting into the late game, and we're getting to a point where I may start getting outscaled. Thankfully, other comps in this game are not super strong, and they actually lack gold. And that's the exact ramifications of pushing the early game tempo. So now we're only down to 4 players, only 1 person top streaking besides me, and if you look at their econ, a lot of them are low on gold and low on health. And the reason is because they were barely able to scrape by. They were forced to roll early by comps like mine and Guy on Fire on the other team, on the other comp, and that causes a situation where they're kind of desperate. And so all you need to do is clutch out these 1 or 2 wins just before they outscale you, or when they have outscaled you, maybe you just outposition them better, and so you end up winning. Like right here, this is a bit lucky for me. I think he probably should have won this, but Nico saves it, right? I was about to lose my NIDALEE, and Nico stuns the Yone, causing him to get stunned, gets NIDALEE enough time to kill him, and then moves on to the Deja, which kills the Deja. Crazy amount of damage that round, and I'm so glad I won that, but that was very scary. That could have very well been a Deja round win, and I would have lost, losing my hot streak one, which at this point isn't too big of a deal since I'm so ahead. 17 round win streak is incredible. But the point is, it would have given him more time to scale, get more units, and get more items on the board, which I really didn't want, right? Especially because the round after that was an item round, so he could have gotten that power spike that he really needed to stay in contention for the game. And instead of finishing 3rd, he could have finished 2nd or 1st. Now this guy right here is a situation where he did manage to hit his carries, he did manage to spike, and he managed to hold on long enough that my comp did not push him far down enough that to stop his scaling. So now it's pretty much just a battle between him and me, he and I, however you say it. And I throw in Soraka just to try and keep my team healed up long enough to fight. But he has a 2-star Itis, and that thing is so tanky. Itis is such a good unit. Anytime you can afford to throw Itis in, just go ahead and do that. Because look at him. 2 items and his super skill item, and he's impossible to kill. So at this point, it's pretty much just a 1v1 battle to the death of who's going to win. Is it the early game reroll comp, or is it the late game scaling comp that's essentially on fire? Notice how I caught fire at the early rounds. Now he's starting to catch fire in the late game, and it's very much hard for me to compete. So now I'm desperate. I'm spending all of my gold leveling and rolling, trying to find out what I can do to manage to win this. And it doesn't look like I'm managing enough, as he's taking the round slowly but surely every time. He does have now Bard 2-star, he does have Corki 2-star, making it very difficult. But, you know, that happens. And this is the ramifications of not finding the NIDALEE 3 earlier. Since I had to spend 30 to 40 gold slowly rolling down, I wasn't able to hit my spikes earlier, throw in extra units earlier, and so I end up coming out of this game with about a 2nd place, which is a bit unfortunate when you think of the start that I had. But again, this is just to show you the power that NIDALEE reroll provides. Astrals are by no means weak in this game. Now what you want to do when you play Astrals is essentially get your Astral 3 shell, roll down for units, and pick them up. So here we are, coming near the end. It's a 6-5, and I still have about 46 health, so it's pretty strong. I'm kind of hoping here that I can hit maybe Shyvana and go Shapeshifter 6, or find an extra item coming up in these rounds. But he's honestly just destroying me at this point. I can't even get close to him. His Bard 2 hasn't even been touched. He's full shield. He's got Itis 2, full shield and health. It's very difficult for me to get to this guy, and you know, at this point it's almost just too late. The only thing that could really save me at this point is maybe a lucky 2-star Shyvana. But again, since I've been losing so much now, I'm in a desperate situation where I don't have the gold to find the 2-star Shyvana. You know? But not to worry, you know, a 2nd place isn't that bad. You know, it's actually a really, really good finish. You can't always get first. Only one guy gets first in 8 rounds, in 8 players. There we go. Oof. That's a great announcer. Okay, now we roll down. Wasn't able to find too much. I was looking for the Shyvana, which I did manage to finally pick up. Unfortunately, it's only a 1-star Shyvana, which is very sad. Boo-hoo-hoo. But that's okay. Again, because this comp is a very strong early game comp, and the fact that it took me this far is very impressive. Typically, these comps fall off, and I'm glad that I was able to hang on for so long, right? Am I actually going to win this? Let's see. Go, 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 go. Oh, Itis lives. Itis is the main problem. Oof. Well, there you go. GG's. Thanks for watching. I hope you were able to learn from this, and see you next time.